Hey guys, Chris Ashley with Passion for the Wild and Wonderful. Today we're out pruning some of my apple trees here in West Virginia. It's middle of March, and yes, I am probably doing this a little bit late. I should have been doing this prior to getting some of the sap flow here in the spring, but I'm early enough to where there shouldn't be any reason that I'm not okay doing it. I have two trees here, two apple trees that I'm going to be working on. Both of these, I'm not sure if I can remember if I pruned them last year or not. I had a bear that actually got into these fruit trees a couple years ago and broke the limbs down, completely uprooted this tree. We were able to pull it back up, stabilize it with some cables, and it lived as well as the other one. And if I remember right, I think probably what I did was not really touch them that much, just not wanting to stress them out much more. And so what we're going to do now is go through, prune them, and I want to show you some of the tools that you need to have if you're going to be pruning fruit trees. So for me, one of the big things that I got was this telescoping pruner and saw, especially for when I'm trying to reach and get up into the higher areas of the fruit trees. So number one is critical. Again, I've got I think at least 3 or 4 different sections here that this telescopes. Allows me to go ahead and use the pruning tool, as I call it, or the snip, or the handsaw with it. Also too, I use a little handsaw where I need to get into tight places, a set of hand pruners. Also too, before you start pruning, make sure you wipe down all the surfaces that you're going to be used for cutting and pruning with isopropyl alcohol. You want to make sure that as you go from tree to tree, in case any of the trees have any kind of disease, you're not transferring that to your other fruit trees. So wipe down your tools before you start, and between changes from tree to tree, make sure you wipe them down as well. And then the last thing I'll say too is obviously a good step ladder and a good pair of working gloves. You're going to see there's going to be a lot of snipping and pruning that's going on. Easily start to work some blisters. So stick with me. We'll start letting you follow me through on how I prune this apple tree. Alright guys, so one of the things I did is already look over this tree. I really don't see anything that is dead, dying, or diseased. But what I will do is just go ahead, start doing some general pruning, trying to clear up. A lot of what I see too is these little water sprouts or water shoots that just are new growth that shoots up here in the middle of the tree and comes off some of these limbs. Generally, my understanding is these big vertical shoots like this are not good for fruit producing. And also too, as you can see, it's clogging up the interior of the tree, so I'm going to cut them off. One thing to also note when you're doing your pruning, and I'll do a close-up and show you here in a little bit, you want to try to do it here as close to the ring coming off the main trunk or main limb that you're pruning on to minimize that potential for disease entering that cut area. But also too, it lets that give it a better ability to heal over and seal in that cut. So what I want to do is show you how to make a cut on a limb. As you can see, there's sort of like I'll say a shoulder or a neck that comes through right here. So when you cut that, you want to try to be flush with that when you're coming down making your cut. And that way that can heal real easily. I'm going to go ahead and start working on this, and you can just stick with me. So it might be hard for you all to see, but what I have right here is a rub. I have this long limb that's coming all the way up through along this one, and it's rubbing this section as well as some of these other places. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to come further back and take that limb out back here, and that way this whole area has better airflow and it eliminates all that rub that's created as a result of that limb. So I'm not sure how easy it is to see, but you
can tell that it definitely opened it up a bunch. And that's again just an example of what I'm doing when I'm trying to go through and eliminate any places that there's limbs rubbing on limbs.
Now one thing you can do too for some of these limbs is you need to watch where you have little splits or little buds that are coming off, and you can cut behind one or just in front of one. Really it should be just in front of the one that's coming out in the area or direction that you would want your limb to continue growing. And that way you can set it up to do some spreading here on the ends, or if you have some additional limbs that are coming out, you can go by getting just cut in front of the one that is pointing in the direction that you want. All right, so what I'm going to show you all is this here was a couple limbs that the deer had nibbled on, and what I'm able to do is see that there's a split off here, there's a split off here, a split under here. Generally you don't want to go with one that's on the underside, but this here I ought to go ahead and cut it all the way back. So if you look, what I'm going to do is cut it at an angle just up above that takeoff. And that now sets that up to where you can see it's a nice clean cut, easily can heal over, and then this will go ahead and start the limb coming out from this area right here. Same way with this one here. I have a split off that's just right here, and I'm just going to come just above it, back cut, and then I have that to where it can heal cleanly and then takes off to where the limb will then come out further. Occasionally it's a good idea to just step back, look at your tree, get a feel for how it looks. You can see already here in the bottom I'm starting to get it opened up a little bit, and then just follow that up. It's how you want to shape the tree. It's my tree, I'll shape it how I want. Generally I'm just trying to get some multiple levels if I can. Try to get more 45 or horizontal limbs to be good strong limbs. Anything above 45 has the potential to break easy. So I'm just going to go and look through and trim things that I want to take out and be how I want the tree to be. Alright guys, so here's what the tree looks like when it's finished. I didn't go crazy on pruning with it, but at the same time too, I opened up the center. I took away anything that I saw was dead, dying, or diseased. And the big thing I focused on was limbs that were rubbing each other. So, and then I also worked around the tree, making sure to eliminate any kind of competition that the tree had. Just again, trying to make sure that it's getting maximum light. I need to do a better job of also cleaning around the bottom. I do have some weed fabric down there, but apparently it's broken down or needs replaced. I do still have the cage, primarily just because, you know, the deer in the area love to rub on fruit trees, and also too I've had the bear issues, so anything I can do to try to keep them from damaging the trees.
So one of the things I was talking about was making sure to open up the center of the tree so we have good airflow. What I'm going to do is go ahead and show you a view looking up through the tree, and then I'll show you after I've done some pruning of what it looks like after that, so that you can see that it's now much more open and allows more air to flow through it. So here's looking up through the tree. I'll show you after I've pruned what it looks like and how open it is. Alright guys, so this is now looking up through the tree after I've opened up this middle, and you can see there's so much more light. There's room here now to where air can flow top to bottom up through this tree, and it just is a lot cleaner to where I tried to eliminate the limbs, as I was saying, that go in towards the middle of the tree.
Well guys, I hope you found this video useful. If you do, please subscribe, like, like the channel, ring that bell. There'll be more videos and content coming out. One of the things I'll probably do next is a video on my pear trees, which really it's not much different other than I do have a tendency with some of these fruit trees, especially my pear trees that want to grow up straight, of taking weights, whether it be loaded buckets or what have you, stakes, and trying to take those straight limbs and lay them out more horizontally. And they'll be better producers for bearing fruit, and from there be able to spread. A lot of my pear tree limbs that are just straight, I really don't get much shoots off of them at all, nor do I get much fruit. So again, thanks for coming and visiting the channel, and I appreciate you joining me. My name's Chris Ashley, and I'll see you next time.